The chess match that we are going to look at today is unbelievable. A 700 elo player defeats a Grandmaster on time in a blitz-rated game. Our hero of this story, Shadowhunter757, just a regular dude, some guy who logged onto chess.com and had the unfortunate pairing of Habitual. Now, for those of you that don't know, Habitual is actually a Grandmaster player, Amon, or Chessbra. He is playing on this Habitual account for his series Building Habits. This game was actually live streamed by Amon, and while I was watching his habit building series, I noticed this and I was like, I don't know if this has ever happened in the history of chess before, but oh my god, I have to make a video on it. And if any video of mine could hit the algorithm and have a chance of showing Shadowhunter757 what he was able to accomplish, that's my hope. That is my goal. If YouTube could bless any video, let it be this video so that Shadowhunter757 can one day, while he's eating a salad on his lunch break, can be like, wait, that's me. Oh my god, I defeated a Grandmaster. Oh my god, I did that. It's incredible. I'm not kidding you. This match is just insane. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Let's get started. And having a look, we're going to notice that from the white side, that being Amon or Chessbra, Habitual, he is playing habitually. He's developing and ingraining habits for his viewers to become better chess players. Some of those habits include taking trades, pushing the center of the board, castling as quickly as possible, and Shadowhunter757, as we know, is just some regular dude. So he comes out with the D5 attack, forcing his queen out very early. Obviously, you're going to have the knight counter-attacking, forcing the queen to move, moves over to the right side of the board, putting a little bit of pressure on the knight, and now he's just going to continue developing. These are the good habits that Amon is trying to push onto the people who are watching the series. And as a little side note, the series is very helpful. I've been watching it. It has helped me immensely. I'm making better decisions. I'm playing better. And Shadowhunter757, I don't think he is watching the series, right? He's going for the knight trade for a bishop. That is a horrible trade because it allows Amon to develop his queen, taking the bishop essentially for free. The c-pawn decides to move up, and by the way, you'll notice this is a 5-minute blitz game, so things have to happen pretty quickly. Shadowhunter not putting a lot of thought into the moves that he's making with 4 minutes and 52 seconds left. Amon putting a little bit more thought at 4:44, and now he's gonna start developing and pushing a little bit to the center. You can see that Amon decides to castle early, which is one of his habit building techniques. And we're gonna have the bishops come out here. We've got a very nice developed center board from Amon right now. We've got some underdeveloped pieces. There's no castling happening yet for Shadowhunter. The rook is pushing to the middle of the board. Here comes the knight. So now Shadowhunter does have options on which side he'd like to castle to. He doesn't castle, he's just sending the queen in as far as he possibly can into enemy territory, taking a free pawn. Let's be honest, not the worst thing in the world when you're already down a little bit of material. And now he is, I guess he's not down material, but he's lost a bishop as opposed to losing a knight. So most people would argue that's not the best position to be in. This pawn moves up. This is a random pawn move from Amon. And now we've got a little bit of pressure happening. We've got the dark square bishop coming in, putting some pressure on the knight. If he takes, queen takes, queen takes, that seems like an interesting idea at the very least. Amon comes in and defends with his rook. He still decides to take for some reason, so the rook takes, the queen moves down, I guess threatening this pawn potentially, which just moves up. Pawn is a free take, kind of moving the queen out of position, really not providing a lot of a value to Shadowhunter, even though he's up material. You know, we've got two rooks, we've got lots of development happening. There's a lot of not development happening. There's a lot of pieces that are not moving for Shadowhunter, and you can just see the board looks better for Amon. The evaluation bar is saying it's not the greatest thing in the entire world, but that's okay. He's pushing up here, deciding to put some pressure on the light bishop. The light bishop's just gonna move, being protected by both the rook, the queen, and the pawn. Now he decides to finally castle. He has not developed the H pawn to have a little bit of an escape route so that he can ensure not being back rank mated. This other pawn's going to move up, improving the position slightly for Amon. We're gonna get some pawn trades, nothing super exciting or spicy happening here. And now we are set with a bit of a choice for Shadowhunter, right? He can definitely take, which is going to result in no take here because it's protected. If he doesn't take, it's going to leave the pawn, you know, exposed or vulnerable to getting taken by this other pawn, but he's gonna have basically an open file in the middle of the board. So there's a take here with the knight. The knight is putting some pressure and is being targeted by a rook and a bishop. Now Amon really likes to trade. He really likes to trade, and so in this position, he trades the bishop for the knight, forcing the pawn to be taken by a rook. This is just it's not a great trade, right? We can just go back a couple moves here and we can see, even if he took with the pawn, well, now he can take with the bishop, then he can take, The result is exactly the same in this position. It actually probably was better to move the e5 pawn. It is, according to the engine here, better to push up e5. You're attacking a bishop. If the bishop takes, you get to take. It's a little bit better. That's also going to be a fork on the queen and the rook if you're able to do that. So making not the best decision here, especially taking a pawn with a knight when a pawn could take a pawn. Crazy, crazy levels of giga brain energy happening from Shadowhunter here. He does lose the bishop, the rook develops, as we know, or pushes up, and now Shadowhunter decides, hey, I don't like that rook there. I'm gonna put you in a bit of a spot with my knight. Now, the unfortunate thing about rooks is that they can move up. He's now pressuring the queen. If the queen takes, he's going to lose it to another rook. So he just moves down, putting a little bit more pressure on the rook. Where's the rook gonna go now, right? Oh, I guess he could also just get pressured by the bishop. If he takes, he loses it. Okay, he can't stay on the diagonal anymore, so he drops all the way down. This is a blunder. This is very horrible, very bad for our friend Shadowhunter here. It's looking like this is the end of the line for our dear friend at 25 moves in, but we still have. This match lasts 60 moves. We've got lots to happen here still, with Habitual having a almost 2-minute time advantage right now. 3 minutes left on the clock for Habitual, 1 minute and 25 seconds left for Shadowhunter. So Habitual, Amon decides, I'm definitely going to take a bishop, rook for a bishop. That trade is just a no-brainer. After this, the queen decides to jump up 1 square. This is, I'm assuming, so that they can get onto the same line, putting some pressure on the queen, offering that trade. He does decide to develop a little bit of an escape route. Shadowhunter getting some foresight happening here. There's now a bit of pressure on the knight, which I don't actually understand why. If you watch Amon's series, he'll explain why this move is a good move. I'm assuming it's just to take some more center control. These 4 center squares, always nice to have a piece on that are controlling the squares around it. The queen moves, offering a trade, and if I know anything about Amon, he's going to take a trade when it's offered to him, especially at this elo. So the queen trade happens. We've got 1 rook and a knight against 2 rooks. There's a slight pawn advantage for Shadowhunter, but that's it. We've got 2 passed pawns. We've got a knight and a rook against 2 rooks. I would put my money on the 2 rooks pretty much any day of the week here, and because we're entering an end game, Amon is now going to shuffle his king closer to the center of the board. Pawn scooches up, protected here, so the rook is not going to take, scooches up once more. The king is now moving over, again, just trying to get some center control. The e4 square obviously protected by the knight, so we can't move closer to the middle. And now we've got a standoff. We've got a rook looking at a pawn with a rook protecting. We've got another pawn that is going to be able to develop, but as soon as he hits the 4th rank, this rook can take essentially free of charge, right? No issues there. The knight is also in a bad spot because he can't really develop without being taken, unless he goes like here and then here, putting him into check, and then here after the king moves. Like, to get this knight involved in protecting any of these pawns, borderline impossible, pretty not great situation to be in. So pawn is moving up. This is where if I'm in, let's see what Habitual does. He moves over to attack this pawn. If I'm in this situation and I've got more than 47 seconds left to make a decision here, I'm throwing my rook onto b4. This is saying rook to b5 is a good idea. I'm throwing my rook. This is not necessarily a good position to be in whatsoever, but I would throw my rook onto b4. You're pressuring this rook. If he takes, you get to take. You do have doubled pawns in that situation. Maybe not the best idea in the world, but it's going to be doubled pawns with now an opportunity to get your knight over here. And depending on where these pieces land after the pawns are taken and traded, you might be able to get a fork on the rook on the king. That's where my brain would go. I'm not a genius. I'm actually a bit of an idiot, but that's what I see immediately. Instead, our friend Shadowhunter, seeing something that we can't possibly dream of envisioning, moves rook to e8. He loses his pawn that was one square away from promoting, obviously. He now gets a decent skewer, king to rook. It's going to be impossible to take because if he takes, king takes. He does take, and king takes. It's shocking. It's almost like that's what should happen 100% of the time. You will notice that not only does the evaluation bar heavily favor Amon, you will also notice that it is 2 minutes and 8 seconds left to 26 seconds left for Shadowhunter. From this position, Shadowhunter is going to start building a little bit of a barricade and try to march his free pawns up into position. He's protecting this pawn with his knight. He had the foresight to do that, so the king is just going to keep marching up. He's now going to hang the pawn that he decided to protect for some reason, and Amon is just going to get a piece closer to his king, closer to the rook, protecting it. This rook moves up, building a nice little pawn chain. The king is just going to move around the middle of the board here. His knight is completely disengaging. Who knows why? I'm not sure. King kind of maintaining some control over the center of the board, moving a little bit closer to these pieces that are all being protected by the king. Moves his rook over. Knight moves over, protecting these squares still. Pawn pushes in, getting a little bit of a fork on both of these guys. He moves his knight up, avoiding being taken by the pawn. The pawn takes for free. He moves down, protected. So he's protecting the knight. The rook moves up, protecting this pawn from being taken. He puts this rook into a precarious position where he has to move. He just moves down, moves over, protecting these squares again, protecting his king. The king moves behind the rook. Rook moves up, putting Amon into check. He moves down, he moves up. There's 48 seconds left for Amon. I want you guys to look at this right now. Look, there's 4 seconds left for Shadowhunter on move 51. There's 1 minute and 18 seconds left for Amon. Habitual. The Grandmaster has a 1 minute and 18 second lead against 4 seconds left on the clock for Shadowhunter 757. This move happens. Move 51 happens. There are 9 more moves in this game. The timer says 0 seconds left. So this madman is pre-moving every single piece. He takes the last 2 pawns. He's pre-moving, putting Amon into check. He actually has a dead even advantage according to the evaluation bar. And at move 60, knight to e3, Amon runs out of time and Habitual loses the match to Shadowhunter 757. He won the game with like 0.1 seconds left on the board. I'll see if I can find the actual screenshot from Amon's broadcast from the VOD.
What kind of witchcraft just happened? Hold on just a second here. What just occurred?
He beat him on time. If there was ever a game to look at and be like, never back down, never give up, it's this game. Never resign. If you can be down over 2 minutes against a Grandmaster and you can win on time, making 9 moves with less than 1 second left, that's insane. So Shadowhunter, I need you to understand that you pulled off the impossible. There will never be another chess match like this, maybe in the history of the universe, of the known universe. Never again will something like this happen. An opportunity to play against a Grandmaster who objectively is playing at a disadvantage because of the series that he's doing, but regardless, he is a Grandmaster player who lost a game to a 700 elo player on time when he had a 2-minute advantage. It's so crazy. If you know who Shadowhunter is, share this video with them. They need to experience, they need to know what happened. This person is going through life, living normally, thinking, oh yeah, I won this crazy game on 1 second left. You beat a Grandmaster. It's insane. I don't know. I saw this game. I saw how it played out. I saw the mistakes that were being made, and then I saw him win, and I was like, I have to make a video on this. This is just too good to not talk about. I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you know of any other crazy, interesting, cool chess matches that I should check out and do a review on, please let me know. Just throw it in the comments. I read every single comment. If this is the first video of mine you're seeing and you enjoy chess content, definitely subscribe because I upload a new chess video here every single day. And I always like to say, if you made it this far in the video, you probably enjoyed yourself, so drop a like on the video. I'd appreciate it. It helps me out a ton. And with all of that out of the way, never resign, never back down. You never know what can happen. I will see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.